Had a great crowd. I want to thank the fans. Really had a great crowd and beautiful weather. Thank AccuWeather for that. Thank you guys for showing up and supporting us as well. You know, I thought overall we had a really good spring. From the beginning, practice 1 through practice 15, the spring game, I thought we got a lot accomplished. You know, spring game is a great opportunity for us to get out in front of the fans. Obviously, we're vanilla on offense and defense. But it was really good work. Also for us, we want to get everybody in the game, so it's really good for those guys that have been busting their butt all off season and all spring to get out there and be able to play in front of their friends and families. So I thought that was really good. You know, some notes that I had. You know, I thought too many times our defensive line jumping off sides. We got to clean that up from a discipline standpoint. Too many drops on offense. We got to get that cleaned up, obviously, between now and the first game. We had a penalty on special teams, which essentially was an explosive play for the white offense, which led to a touchdown. There was a touchdown drive after that 15-yard penalty. And then I thought we could stop the run better with our one defense, and I thought we could have ran the ball better with our one defense. You got to give the white offense and defense some credit there, but I thought overall we could have been a little bit better there. So overall, I'm pleased with where we're at. We got a lot of work to do between now and the first game. The next couple weeks, this next week, our coaching staff will all be in the office. We'll meet with every single player. They'll have an individual meeting with their position coach, let them know what they have done well, what they need to work on to get better. Should be some really good discussions there. And then after that, over the next about 3 weeks, I will meet with every single player on the team, which is always really good, but it's also challenging to meet with every single player on the team. And I go over their academics, I go over their medical, I go over where their position coach sees them, then I go where I see them with each player on the team. And then obviously our staff will be out on the road recruiting. We've got to finish strong academically, and then obviously before we know it, we'll be in summer prep with summer session 1 starting. So really appreciate everybody coming. Got a really good crowd. Appreciate you guys being here, and I'll open it up to questions.
Raise your hand, we'll get a mic to you. Right here.
Hi, James. What did you like most about Dan Chisena during this spring that earned him a scholarship?
Yeah, you know, we really liked Dan on the front end. You know, we recruited Dan. Dan won the 100 meters in the state of Pennsylvania his senior year. You know, we really recruited him pretty hard. And then the track team stole him from us in a positive way, I guess. And then they ended up giving him a scholarship, which was really good for him. And then he wanted to come back to football, so left his track scholarship, came back to football without a scholarship. He's 6'2", he's 210 pounds, one of the fastest guys on our team. I mean, legitimately before he left, ran in the 4.3s, was catching the ball confidently and things like that. So you know, he's a guy that we always kind of had bright hopes for. And just had a really good, consistent spring. He's mature, he's smart, he's strong. Obviously, he's got a lot of work to do from a technique and fundamental standpoint, but we like where he's at.
Hey, James. I'm just curious about Keaton Ellis. What type of spring has he had, and you know, what impresses you most about him? And is he the type of kid who has the potential to get a green light in his first season?
I think so. You know, Keaton's been very impressive. You know, graduated early, been on campus. You know, he's really did a good job in the weight room. He can run. He's got length. He's gotten stronger. And I think, you know, we like to recruit DBs who play wide receiver and vice versa. And he's a guy that's got really natural ball skills. You saw that in high school, and that showed up. He was able to make a bunch of big plays on the ball. He's confident when the ball's in the air. A lot of times you have to coach guys through that. Some guys panic when the ball's in the air. He's very confident, he's very comfortable, he's very relaxed. So, you know, as you guys have heard me say before, it's easier to get on the field the further away from the ball you are. And he kind of checks all the boxes right now. So he obviously has to have a great summer, but he's put himself in a really good position to compete for significant playing times on special teams and defense.
James, can you talk a little about C.J. Thorpe and just the moving back and forth from offense to defense? How's he handled that spring, and how did you guys approach him about that? How did he handle going back to offense?
Well, I think the first thing with C.J. is we approached it on the front end. That was a temporary decision. And then what happens is guys go over on defense, they like it. It's a little bit different. It's a little less technique, a little less. Sean, don't take that the wrong way. Brent, don't take that the wrong way. But it's a little bit playing fast and aggressive and those types of things. So he was kind of enjoying it, But we felt like for him and for us, our long-term future, his long-term future, that was the best place for him. So, he's done a nice job. Obviously, he missed a year of technique and fundamentals, but he's got the ability to be really good. He's going to play for us this year. Whether he's the starter or not, he's going to play. It'll be different than it's been in years past. I see us playing those guys. Well, obviously there's a lot of things going to happen between now and camp, and it's going to play itself out. But I can see both him and Miranda and Gonzalez all playing, for us right now inside.
Thanks, James.
Hey, Coach. Over here. I know you said you kept the offense kind of vanilla. You've seen the guys all spring. What did you learn today that you maybe didn't realize heading into the game about any of the individuals, either offensively or defensively, as they played?
Yeah, I don't know if I would necessarily say today showed me something or taught me something about our offense that I didn't know beforehand. I think it was really good for Levis and Sean to get those reps today. Obviously, having Tommy back is going to be huge for all of us, and excited about that. But I don't know if it was anything that really jumped out. I guess maybe the only thing I would say is, we wanted to get everybody in the game. So getting some guys in the game, some of those guys did better than I anticipated. On a different note, I thought Noah Caden did some nice things today. I thought we're going to watch the tape, and probably sometimes he rushed his cut and things like that, but what he did is he was decisive. He stuck his foot in the ground, he got downhill. A lot of times his runs aren't overly sexy, but he's just breaking tackles and falling forward, and it's very productive. So I haven't seen the stats. I don't know what he, 41 yards, 5.1 yard average. Pretty good. And he did a lot of that with the second O-line against the 1D. So I thought that probably was impressive.
James, two parts for me. One on Tommy Stevens. You just mentioned it'll be huge when he comes back. Do you expect to go into fall camp with him as the starter? Are you ready to say that now? And secondly, on Isaac Lutz, obviously last week he was put on scholarship. What have you seen from him, and what made you make that decision?
So the Tommy Stevens situation, obviously for us, I'm a big believer in competition at every single position. We haven't named a starter at any position. His situation in some ways is similar to GT's. GT's been waiting for his time. He's got to go take it. Obviously, Tommy's situation, we got put in a tough spot because he had an injury that made it difficult. So obviously, we want to be able to name the starter as soon as we possibly can, but we're not ready to do that right now, and it's going to need to be, more of a true competition. Tommy's done everything right, for 4 years. There's a huge body of work in what we've seen from him, and I think last year, in a lot of ways, wasn't fair to him because he was playing with an injury, a pretty significant injury. So, our coaching staff has got all the belief in the world in Tommy. Our coaching staff understands kind of what Tommy has done and who he can be, but we also have belief in the other guys. I think we've created really good competition in our quarterback room. So we'll see how this thing plays out. But we'd like to name one as soon as we can. But based on kind of how things have played out, I don't know when that will happen.
Okay. Isaac Lutz.
And then Isaac Lutz. I'm sorry, you always get me to two questions. He's Stroudsburg. Go to Penn State. Isaac's just been one of these guys that really. He's very athletic, comes from an athletic family. His brother's playing at Syracuse. Where he really kind of earned his scholarship was last year on special teams. We had him on the scout team. He kept kind of being kind of a pain in practice, was just making plays and going full speed and tenacious, and we gave him an opportunity on special teams. He made plays. So he's a guy we think can help us from a depth perspective at wide receiver. but I think he's a guy that really can, make a name for himself on special teams this year and kind of go from there. But, he's had a great attitude. He's been hardworking. He's grown. He's matured. We've just been very pleased with him. And when we went back, he was, I think, the guy that had the most reps in games that wasn't on scholarship.
James, getting back to Noah Kane, you mentioned that kind of decisiveness, the style that he runs with. Is that a unique quality for a kid who just enrolled in January?
I don't know, because that's kind of his style. You watch his tape, that's kind of who he was. So I think what Noah does a good job is knowing who he is and playing to his strengths. Obviously he's going to get stronger, he's going to get more explosive, he's going to get faster, he's going to get quicker. We got to help him with that from a development standpoint. But what he did today was, he didn't try to be something he's not, and bounce runs to the outside and things like that. He stuck his foot in the ground, he got north-south, he broke arm tackles, fell forward, and got positive yards. So I think that's a real positive. I think Adisa Isaac's a little bit like that as a freshman. There's sometimes in practice, I know Adisa has no idea what he's doing, but he runs 1,000 miles per hour and he chases the ball. If you're on defense and you do that, you got a chance. So I think Adisa is a little bit like Noah. He knows what he does well, and he does that 100% right now, and then allows us to coach all the other things.
Time for 2 more.
Coach, right here. Every year you come to the spring games, have different personality, game-changing plan changes. What are some of the things that you know from last year you had to change, and some of the things you have to change on defense, things that your whole personality changed?
Yeah, I don't know if necessarily the spring game or spring ball does that. So we'll go into spring with a mentality. We want to lay a foundation. So we want to get as much of the defense in, as much of the offense in, as much of special teams playing, and especially this year it's magnified with the new special teams coordinator. Get those things in. To be able to come back now and have some recall in the summer when we install it all again. Allow them to play with some confidence, allow them to compete, and then at that point kind of figure out what our identity is and who we're going to be. I don't know if you necessarily figure that out in the spring, because you're really just trying to get the foundations in. It's not about scheming, our offense scheming to beat our defense scheming to beat our offense. We don't want to do that. It's about Penn State winning, it's about Penn State getting better, it's about development. So at this point, I think we did that. But yeah, the work's going to come between now and the first game, is doing this all over again, coming up with our identity on offense, defense, and special teams, and then playing to our strengths, and then trying to manage and minimize our weaknesses.
James, what did it mean for you and for Penn State to have Matt Millen back in the booth today?
Yeah, it was pretty emotional. I got interviewed, and I'm an emotional guy. Matt came into my office the other day, and he looked good. And he looked really good. And for what he's been able to overcome, both physically and mentally, what he means to this university, obviously what he means to his family and his community and all those types of things. It's just special. I mean, he's a legend here. He's a legend for us. He's a legend for the Raiders. So to see him not only back so quickly, but also back in the booth and doing what he loves and talking about Penn State football, that's I think for all of us, that's something that we can all identify with. I am super proud of being the head football coach at Penn State. It's something that's very dear to me. I'm super proud of my daughters and my wife over there. But the thing I think that probably we all take for granted is our health until it's gone. So to see Matt be in that situation, to be able to battle through it, and for somebody out there to be able to donate, what Matt needed is awesome, and it's special. So congratulations to Matt and his family and everybody that was praying for him and pulling for him. Really pretty cool for Matt and secondary, for our university, for our football program.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.